He's been there for the goods, he's been there for the bads, and he'll be there for whatever 2021 turns into. Tom, good to see you. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Well, thank you, Maddie. Same to you, Harold and Lauren, and appreciate you having me with you. And I think you were calling that game too, if I remember, Maddie.
Yeah,
and,
but
it was.
My call wasn't nearly as good as yours.
Well, I wouldn't.
Not even close.
That was a great moment, and that's what Frankie brings to New York Mets fans. I mean, not only the ability to rise to the occasion, but he's the whole package. He's got that emotional part of him that he's not afraid to show. And I mean, people talk about a smile. Well, if I was as good looking and as talented as Frankie is, I'd be smiling all the time too.
So, Tom, we know that Mets fans are beside themselves with glee over this deal. Not sure the same sentiment exists in Cleveland. That might be the understatement of the year. I tried to lay out a case earlier as to why this isn't doom and gloom in Cleveland, but give us the kind of the pulse of the fan base there. What are the initial reactions to this blockbuster?
Well, if you want to look at the glass being half full, Matt and Harold, nobody is complaining today about the Indians changing their name. So, we do have that going for us right now. But I mean, you can imagine. I mean, this is a kid we've talked about and watched since the draft. The Indians, and this is a credit to Chris and Cherney, they haven't had many top 10 picks in the draft. I mean, when you win an average of 92 games over the last 8 years and you're in the playoffs 5 of those 8 years, you're usually drafting in the mid-20s or later. But Frankie was a top 10 pick, and the Indians nailed it. I mean, that 2011 draft is one of the greatest drafts in the history of the game. And, so it feels like you've known him since he was drafted because he was such a high-profile pick coming out of Orlando at the time. And again, as we talked about, his personality, the way he plays the game, the way he connected with the fan base. I mean, he's everything that you want in a player. But I think also everybody knew that this was eventually coming. The two sides have tried to work and get a deal done, but, there are not many players that do what Christian Yelich did. And that is, hey, look, I want to stay in Milwaukee. And so let's get something that works for both sides and still gives us the ability to be a competitive ball club. I don't blame Frankie for wanting to be a free agent. He's earned that right. But in the same sense, the Indians can't afford to pay one player $35 million a year and then think you're going to surround him with a whole lot of talent because, this isn't the NBA. You can't get away with 1, 2, or 3 superstars and win a title. So, it's the reality of our game. I think it stinks. I wish there was a way that, we had a different pay structure or whatever, but, that's above my pay grade. And, the one thing, again, I just think with the Indians, and to what you said, Matt, when you have Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, and Terry Francona, the one thing the Indians have in those three is no other team in baseball has a better trio, and they've proven that over the last 8 years. And while I don't think we're as good as the Twins and the White Sox today, off-season isn't over. The one thing the Indians have is a lot of starting pitching, and they also have some key bullpen pieces. They now have some money to go out and maybe address some of their needs, and they obviously have some needs right now. But look, you're never as good a team as you were when you have Frankie Lindor. That's the reality of it.
Tom, the interesting thing, too, you kind of touched on it a little bit. We all saw this coming. When ownership made it real clear a couple years ago, we're going to have to trade him. We're not going to be able to sign him. I just was curious at the timing when this might happen, and it's happened now. So let's just talk about the returns that they got. I look at the 2 major leaguers first. They obviously got 2 prospects in Wolf and Green. We'll talk about that later. But the 2 major league guys, Rosario and Jimenez, that come back. What are you hearing are the possible plans for those guys?
Well, I haven't even talked to anybody with a ball club, Harold, like Cherney or Chris, because obviously they've been pretty busy. But right now we need a shortstop. So it's hard for me to not see both those guys in the middle of the diamond somewhere. We've lost everybody from our infield except Jose Ramirez. So we need a first baseman, second baseman, and a shortstop. So I wouldn't be surprised. Now, you guys know their players better than I do, but I wouldn't be surprised to see, Rosario play second, Jimenez play short. Again, I'm speculating here because I really don't know the Mets players. I think Rosario is also, some people have talked about as an outfielder. Does he become that super utility guy that plays every day somewhere, either on the grass or on the dirt? I'm not real certain. The Indians also have some internal prospects. Yu Chang, they've got to give Yu Chang a chance here at some point to see if he is an everyday major league player. And so, but I would expect both Rosario and Jimenez to be in the lineup somewhere if we have our opening day on April 1st as expected.
Tom, I don't want to take your ball too far off of the topic at hand here, but here's the important question. Do the Buckeyes cover the 8 points on Monday against Alabama?
That's a good one, Maddie, because I'm from Wisconsin, and I love Ohio State as well. And my wife said, thank God the Packers have a bye weekend because she was not going to be able to take back-to-back days of Green Bay and Ohio State and me screaming. So, I think Ohio State, say I'm not a bettor, I think Ohio State wins the game. How's that?
Woo, hot takes. You know what? That would kind of help distract the Indians fan base if there's something to crow about on Monday. Tom, we appreciate the visit today. We always love talking to you. We wish you the best, of course, this new year and look forward to our next visit.